Hey guys, how's it going? My name is Ryan Wilkes and welcome to The Path Less Traveled, and welcome to my very first gear video. Dedicated gear, kind of like a review video, but my own spin on a review. So I've been wanting to do some more filmmaking content for quite a bit of time now, and so I'm just going to start doing it. So I've been shooting on the microfour third system for about 8 months now, and I've really dove into it. Got all kinds of different lenses, a couple different camera bodies now, and so I feel like I'm a bit more qualified now than I would have been a few months back to talk about the system, different lenses, different bodies, different techniques, and yeah, gear is just something that's really fun to talk about and something that I'm really passionate about, so I'm going to start adding some more gear videos to the channel. So as I said, I have been shooting on Micro Four Thirds for quite a bit of time now. I shoot on a Panasonic G85 and a Panasonic GX85. I will do a comparison video between those two bodies later in the near future. So with that said, let's get into what I think is the best option for an awesome wide angle lens in the Micro Four Thirds system. This is the Olympus M Zuiko Digital Pro lens, 7 to 14 millimeters, f2.8. It is an absolute beast. I love this thing. So with the focal range 7 to 14 millimeters, as I said, you get from the ultra wide range down at the 7 to just kind of the regular wide range at 14. So that on a full frame sensor, that's a 14 to 28 millimeter equivalent. So on the wide end at 7, you get this really cool fisheye effect, which I love for vlogging. It's one of my favorite vlogging lenses. And then when you move up to the 14, you kind of just get a lot less distortion, just like a regular, really nice wide shot. So why is this my favorite wide angle lens for the system? It's really a combination of a lot of things. And the first thing is the unique point of view that you can get. It's essentially like having a super high quality GoPro in your hands, and you can get really creative with it. You're able to get those really cool first person point of view shots that a lot of cameras wouldn't be able to get. Even this camera at 14, can't get some of the shots that I want to get, whether it's, the camera pointed down at my feet while I'm walking, or just like a handheld vlogging shot where I want to get the whole background. And a few vloggers have been trying to use these more ultra wide angle lenses in vlogging lately. Like John Olson has been using a really wide lens, mostly at the really wide range as well lately. In a lot of his vlogs, he's been vlogging at like 7 millimeters with his GH5. So it's something that's catching on, and I personally also really like the point of view because, I started vlogging back about a year and a half ago now with just a GoPro, and so it kind of brings back that GoPro vibe, but like way better quality. Secondly is the build quality. It is built like a tank. Everything on here is metal. It's got this built-in pedal lens hood so that so that it's less easy to damage the glass, damage the lens. The lens hood is metal, as I said. Just amazing quality. Splash proof, freeze proof, dust proof. It has it all. I've had this out in the rain. I've had this like minus 20 degrees on top of a mountain, and it's survived everything and been absolutely fine. So it's so good to know, especially going out with my G85, that it's also weatherproof, that like my whole system, I don't really have to worry so much about getting a bit wet or like bringing in some conditions that I'd be scared to bring a different camera to. The third reason why I love this thing so much is the low light performance. It's got a constant aperture of f2.8, whereas the other wide angle lenses that are in this range that come from Panasonic that I'll talk about in a second, they don't have quite a good aperture. They are either an f4 or go from 2.8 to 4 at the end of the range. So this is 2.8 throughout the range. It's great for low light. If you're vlogging low light, awesome. And with the Micro Four Thirds sensor, you really have to invest in good glass in order to get that low light capability, because the sensor's smaller, and as we know, that really hinders our low light performance. Another thing that I love about this lens is the manual focus ring. So it's got this kind of snap action ring where you can even if your camera is set to autofocus, if you snap this ring down to manual focus, it will automatically go to manual focus. So it's super handy, quick way to switch between manual and autofocus, and autofocusing, it's super quick as well. Now there are of course some downsides to this lens. It's not all good. Number one is that for a micro four thirds lens, it's pretty big. You can see here with my GX85 and the Olympus, it's massive. It looks completely ridiculous. If I were to put it on this camera, which I do from time to time. So the size is pretty big for micro four thirds, and the reason most people go with micro four thirds is because the cameras are so small. So that's number one. Number two is you actually can't put any ND filters or polarizing filters on this lens because of the shape of the element. So that is a little bit of a downside, but not a huge downside for me. And I should also say that if you truly do want filters to this lens, there are ways to do that. You can get an adapter and essentially put a full sheet of glass in front of the lens. That's totally possible. What I meant by not being filters is that there's no filter thread in the lens. But there are definitely ways that you can put filters on this and do long exposure photography, or if you need to control your shutter speed for video or anything like that. There are ways to do that. And finally, there's no stabilization in this lens. So if you have a body that's not stabilized, like a G7 or a GH4, then this might not be the lens for you. You might have to go to one of the Panasonic lenses that has the built-in stabilization. But if you do have a camera with stabilization, I would definitely go for this, because I've taken some handheld shots with this and the G85, which has some really good internal in-body stabilization, and I've got amazing results. Handheld, no gimbal. I'll toss one up right now for you guys to watch. But handheld with this at maybe 10, so kind of 10 millimeters, so kind of in that middle range of the focal range, and it is silky smooth. So sometimes with these wide lenses, you don't really need that extra lens stabilization because it's so wide that any little shakes aren't going to be as noticeable. So the price of this bad boy, this is another downside to this lens. Goes for about $1,200 US brand new. In New Zealand here, that's between $1,600 to $1,750. It is not cheap, but you pay for quality. This thing is a beast. As I said, it's great. I know I'm gonna have it forever, knock on wood, and for me it's worth it because I'm treating this as a professional now, and that's another thing. This is a pro lens. This is the Olympus's pro lineup, so it's meant for people who are doing this for a living, which I'm kind of doing now. So definitely worth it for me. And finally, let's talk about some competitors. So the two competitors for kind of the prosumer or professional wide angle lenses for micro four thirds would be the Panasonic 7-14 f4 and the newly released Panasonic 8-18 f2.8 to 4. So with the brand new one, the 8-18, you can put filters on it. So filters are something that's important to you, which it might be for me in the future. You might want to look at getting that. The downside to that, of course, is that you have a variable aperture, so you're going to go down to f4 at the narrow end of the focal length. So if low light is super, super important to you and you don't have lighting and everything, this is still probably your guy. Then you also have the 7-14, so same focal length as this, f4 as well. So you lose some light. Just depends on your budget, depends what you're all about. Both of those Panasonic lenses have in-body stabilization in the lens, so that is super key if you have a G7 or a GH4 with no stabilization. Now, I will just mention quickly, I'm not a professional photographer, but I do definitely take photos with this, especially astro photography. It is incredible for astro. You just get so much of the Milky Way and so much of the landscape. It's great for photos as well. So definitely, if you're a photographer looking for an ultra-wide lens, I would definitely check this thing out. So with that said, guys, that is it for this video reviewing this beautiful Olympus 7-14 f2.8 Pro ultra-wide to wide lens. It is my favorite Micro Four Thirds wide angle lens, and I think that it would take a lot for a lens to dethrone this from my kit, because I've had so much fun with it and it just gives such a unique perspective, and the build quality is on point, low light performance is there. It's really just got it all. So I will link this in the description if you're interested in checking out more about it. I hope you guys enjoyed this first kind of gear review video of mine. If you liked it, let me know below. If you have comments, suggestions, questions, leave them in the comments below and I'll make sure to get back to you on anything. I will be doing more of these, so stay tuned for that. See you guys next time.